So, ladies and gentlemen, I know it's early, but we got to give it up for the one, the only, the amazing Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk.
And listen, I'm not Mother Teresa. I'm a salesman. You know why I love social media? Because it sells. I believe that we are in the dawn of one-on-one marketing. Morning. Good morning. How many people here, by show of hands, actually have not heard me speak or actually don't know that much about me? Please raise your hand. You're sleeping. You're about to know who I am. So, kind of thinking that that might be the case, I apologize for the ones that do know my spiel, because there's quite a bit of hands. I'm gonna have to give 5 to 7 minutes of my background to set up where I'm going with this talk. Because the truth is, when I heard what the theme of this conference was, All In, I started doing a lot of homework, mainly on those platforms right there. The Instagrams and the Twitters and the Facebooks and the Snapchats of the world. And obviously, there's lots of people here, and I had the privilege of several months ago speaking in Ohio. And I gave a lot of thought to what I wanted to talk about today, because I knew that there would be a lot of crossover from people that saw me there versus people that haven't. What's the difference in the tendencies and the actions of the YPR versus the rest of the crew? All those things. And how do I provide value? And the truth is, here's what's happening. In my heart, and with all due respect, I don't feel like collectively we're as all in as I'd like. And let me explain how. I don't think we're all in on the one thing that I spend all my time on. See, the dirty little secret is I suck crap at 99% of things when it comes to business. I stand here in front of you as a hardcore DNF student. I actually hit up my high school the other day and asked if I could come and take a picture of my report card if they had it on file for a Throwback Thursday, because I do not think you realize how shitty of a student I really was. And so why do I suck at 99% of things, and why do I stand here in front of you confident that I will easily achieve my life goal of buying the New York Jets? And the answer is simple. I suck at 99% of things, but I'm all in one thing, just one thing. How many people here by show of hands? And by the way, we all got up early, lots of us were out late. I've been flying all around the country, so please don't give me your bullcrap half hands. I'm not interested in your head nod. I want full hands. How many people here are familiar who Mariano Rivera is, the closer of the New York Yankees? Okay, so for the other half of you, Mo was the closer of the New York Yankees. 17 years, will go down as the best closer in Major League Baseball history. The dirty little secret, he only had one pitch, but he threw it over and over and over for 17 years, and nobody hit it. I have one pitch. One. I have one move that is the differentiation for me, and it's that I'm all in on one thing. And it is the biggest disconnect between me and 99.9% of this room right now. The move that I have, and the thing that I want to talk to you about today, And the variable of the difference of the companies that win and lose, and the reason big companies go out of business, like Blockbuster and Woolworths and things of that nature, is that the only thing I do is I market in the actual fucking year we live in. What I'm concerned about when I look at the behavior online of 99% of this room, and when I say this room, let's throw everybody into it. The Fortune 500 companies I work with, all the startups, 99% of people are marketing like it's 2008, 2004, 2002, 1997, 1994. And that, my friends, is the disconnect. The reason most people are giving up dollars and aren't relevant is they're not storytelling in the year that we actually live in, because that takes storytelling where people's attention is. The number one thing that connects every single person in this room is we're all battling for somebody's attention. Before you can tell me how great you are and how my life is gonna be so legit if I get into this, or why it's so delicious or way healthier, before you tell me all that stuff, you need to get my attention. And the fact that so few of you clap that up excites me even more about what I'm about to talk about. I was born in Belarus in the former Soviet Union. I came to the US when I was 3. My family was poor. We had $100. I lived in a studio apartment with 7 of my family members. My dad got a job as a stock boy in a liquor store in New Jersey. That's why we moved. When I was 6, we moved to Edison, New Jersey, which is where I started my entrepreneurial career. When I was 6, I had 6 lemonade stands, a 6 lemonade stand franchise. I put my 5 6-year-old friends to work. For some of you old timers, because there's a lot of youngsters here, you won't remember this. For some of you old timers, you remember big wheels, those little bikes? I used to ride my big wheels at the end of the day, picking up my cash like I was little Tony Soprano or something. When I was 12, I started a baseball card business, and I started selling baseball cards in the malls of New York and New Jersey, and I crushed that. I was making $1,000 to $3,000 a weekend as a 13, 14-year-old. I don't know about you guys, but when you're 14 and you have $30,000 in cash under your bed and you're not selling weed, you're doing a good job. That's what I did. And then my dad ruined my life. At this point, my dad owned a small liquor store in Springfield, New Jersey, and as the first son in an immigrant family born in the old country, on my 14th birthday, he dragged me into the liquor store, and I had to work there for $2 an hour, 15 hours a day, and I went from making $1,000 to $2,000 a weekend to making $30 on a Saturday for the next 2-3 years of my life. I call those the dark ages. When I turned 17, I fell in love with the business. And it's interesting to think about the shifts in the air with this organization, because let me tell you something. The only reason I've been able to build big businesses is because the only thing I think about is lifetime value. The only thing I think about is lifetime value and what percentage of your wallet can I get. How long can I keep you, and how much of what I am selling are you buying? Are you buying all of it from me, some of it from me? And the game that I think more people need to pay attention to is the combination of lifetime value and percentage of wallet spend. And how do you create that? Let me tell you something that I think a lot of youngsters in this room need to hear. It is my obsession when I meet somebody, randomly, randomly when I meet somebody, I default into wanting to give them 51% of the value of the relationship for our entire lives. Because 49% of the relationship is very, very valuable. And giving 51% to the relationship is leverage. And the thing that I see in the actions of so many in this room is that they're looking for 99% of the relationship on the first move. They're storytelling the value prop to them, but the value comes to them. And so I implore you to think about this notion of how do you provide so much upfront value that you're able to keep somebody for the long haul. One of the other things I'm really concerned about, I'm concerned about the fact that communication is being disrupted. I'm concerned that I believe this room needs to give a lot of thought to the notion that the way we talk as human beings has changed. We're grossly underestimating the life cycle of the internet itself. My friends, before you talk about Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram and Vine and Snapchat and how they affect your business, how you're gonna get clients from it, and customers, people in your network, before we talk about that, I need to establish that the internet is 20 years old. We're just starting. And I know the internet, I know there's some nerd back there. Well, actually, Gary, the internet was invented in 1957. I know, nerd. Shut the fuck up. I mean the internet that we all know, when normal people started jumping on the platform and actually getting email and interacting and giving a crap, that only started with Windows 95. That only started 20 years ago. We are every person in this room, including me, who fancies himself of knowing where things are going, every person in this room is grossly underestimating the culture shift that we're living through, the attention that we're spending in these platforms. And this is where I really want you to pay attention because this maps to your world. The internet is the gateway drug to one-on-one relationships. Let me say it again, because I know there's a lot of old school folks in here. And listen, I'm an old school folk. There's a lot of old school folks that say, yeah, this new stuff, and it's sad, and everybody's on their phone, and this internet stuff. But we're a business that's built on one-on-one relationships. Let me tell you something. I've scaled the fuck out of one-on-one relationships with this thing right here. And if you do not understand that engagement online is the gateway to one-on-one relationships in our world today, you are missing the culture shift we're living in. Let me explain. How many people here have a child, this is for the older crew, a child between the ages of 13 and 22? Raise your hands. Throw it up. Great. You guys remember 2-3 years ago when you had this conversation? Hey, little Ricky, I don't give a crap how you talk to your friends, but when your parents call, you pick up the damn phone. You remember that talk? Just curious, how'd that work out for you? Let me explain. There are grown-ass men in here that in the last 24 hours have texted OMG and LOL. That's how it worked out. And that's not because little Ricky or the movement in this room is so smart. It's because they have technology on their side. Technology doesn't care about you and me. Listen, I'm pissed this all happened. I built a $60 million a year wine business on print and radio and television. I had it figured out. I'm actually very upset. The second 6 years ago I mapped and figured out Facebook and Twitter, here came along Tumblr, here came along Vine, Snapchat, Instagram. I'm not happy. Marketing got hard. I'm not happy this is happening. It got hard, but the problem is some poor guy bought 4,000 horses the day before Henry Ford created the car. He lost. Innovation doesn't care about you and me. And so when I look at the progressive nature of this organization, when I think about the app culture that's here, when I think about all the infrastructure and the amount of content that's being put out on the platforms that are relevant in here, it makes me think and wonder. It makes me think and wonder, do people really understand the culture shift we're living through, the opportunity in front of us? Because here's what's happening. When you're selling the product that you're selling that's in this room, and your target audience skews young, let me give you a real story in this room that you really need to hear. I was with a guy the other day who runs an $8 billion company, and he sells to 12 to 17-year-olds. And I talked why we had to move our money from SEO and email marketing and Facebook into Snapchat, Vine, and Instagram. And I gave him all the data and all the rationale to why it was important. Why it was gonna work, what mattered, why it mattered, why the attention of their customer was on this platform. And here's what happened. The CEO of the company looked at me after everything and he said, hey, Gary, that's great, and I understand, but I don't get Instagram. And I said, that's nice, John, that you do not get Instagram, but 200 million of your customers do. And so, I implore many people in this room, you may have not grown up on Facebook and Twitter or using mobile devices, but you didn't grow up driving either, and you figured it out. And so it might not come native to you, but let me give you some stats. How many people here in their career have done email marketing? You've sent emails to try to sell stuff. Raise your hand. Great. In 1996, with 400,000 people on my email service for my wine business, I had 89% open rates. Yeah, wow. You know why? Because more than I know that the sun will come up tomorrow, I know that marketers ruin everything. It's what we do. I'm proud of it. Email in 1996, 7, and 8 wasn't ruined yet. We weren't spamming after every email. How many people here remember email 1998, 99? How many people remember reading every word because it wasn't spam? It's what we did, remember? But then marketers ruined it. And that's what always happens. How many people here signed up for Groupon and Living Social? Raise your hand, one of those sites. Do you remember 5 years ago how you couldn't wait to get $40 worth of sushi for 20 bucks? Or that $80 spot treatment for $40 was the greatest thing of all time? How about now? How do you like Groupon and Living Social now? You hate it because they kept sending you crap you didn't want. And now you don't give a rat's ass if they send you $1 million home for 100 bucks. You're like, delete spam, get the fuck out of my inbox. That's right. I see it. I get it. And so, my friends, here's what I want to talk to you about. Way too many people are all in on width. How many followers, people on the list, teammates can I get? Width. How many people can I tell about my thing? Width, reach, width, 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 numbers, numbers. And nobody's talking about depth. Depth. I want to hug the 8 people that are smart enough to clap that. Fine, BK, I'll hug you too. I know you want it. Yesterday, I was flying from Orlando at a speaking engagement to come here. And I was replying with people on Twitter. And then I decided to get the bright idea of, instead of replying in text, I was going to make quick little videos and say hello to them. How many people caught this yesterday? Because I know a bunch of you follow on Twitter. So I'm replying, and then I decided to make a video. These videos, by the way, took me, I don't know, the difference between texting video, I would go from 17 seconds versus not, 39 seconds, 54 seconds. We're talking a difference of 30 to 40 seconds of my time. The response when I made videos and said, hey, Karen, I really appreciate that nice thing you said about my book. Or, hey, Steve, I really appreciate it. The difference, when you watch what people then said on Twitter about their relationship, people literally wrote things like, I am now a fan for life. I just bought 10 more jab, 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 right hooks. For the extra 22 seconds that I applied into a relationship with somebody, I converted the emotion of our relationship dramatically deeper. The truth is, and we can all agree, we all talk about customer service, we all talk about caring, we all talk about those good and warm things, but we don't execute on them. Because the number one thing we value in the world, besides the health of our family and money, is time. How many people here are familiar and have used Uber, the iPhone app? Raise your hand. When that first came out, how many people here are not familiar with Uber? Raise your hand. This is fun. Shit's about to get crazy, BK. I can feel it happening. Uber, it's an app for your phone where you hit a button and a black car can be in front of you in 3 or 4 minutes. If you live in, by the way, who lives in LA here? LA area, raise it up, clap it up. I refuse to go to LA for the last 10 years of my life because of the transportation. Now I go to LA 10 times a year strictly because of Uber, because I can actually get around your fucking city. Uber. Uber's selling what? Uber's not selling transportation. Uber's selling time. By being able to get 6 or 7 minutes of your time back, you're able to jump all in. And really, that's what you're buying. That's how much we value time. You're valuing time because you're willing to pay that much money just for time. Let's get into the details. How many people here are actively using Facebook and Twitter and Instagram to acquire customers and drive their sales? Please raise your hand. How many people are not? Please raise your hand. Good, so we got a 50-50 split. I think it's important for me to take a segue right here in this room right now. The reason I love social media is because it sells stuff. I want everybody to hear that loud and clear because I think it's an important variable. I am a businessman. My whole life has been about selling stuff. If I'm not selling stuff, I'm broken. I don't love technology. I didn't even own a computer until I was 19 years old. I have no heart. I have no heart for technology. What I have heart for is the reality of the marketplace. What I have heart for is conversion. What I have heart for is this. I want you to write down this one thing because it's actually going to be practical to your business. There's a new product from Facebook called dark posts. When you Google what dark posts are, you'll start understanding what I care about. Facebook has gotten to a place now where you don't have to have a fan page to reach people on Facebook. We're at a place now in 2014, marketing in the year that we actually live in, we're in a place now where you don't have to have a single fan on Facebook. What you need to do is understand who you're actually targeting. You now have the ability to go into the admin on Facebook, create a picture, a video. You know, how many people have sent a message through the app and have sent it to friends or contacts so they could watch that 1-minute video about the value prop of this organization? Raise your hands, just curious. Very nice. So that video you're able to put out, that piece of content, any piece of content, the rules, what you think, the product value, Dr. Oz, whatever it may be, whatever you think is valuable to people, and you're able to target any person that works or lives or acts on Facebook. How many people, when they use Facebook now, mainly look at through their phone and do this? Raise your hands, just curious. As some of you know, these are not ads anymore that you go on a desktop and are on the right side of the website. These are things you're actually seeing directly in your feed. I've been marketing online for 20 years. When Google came out with AdWords, I bought the word wine for 5 cents. I owned it for 9 months before anybody bid me up. The reason I did that was because I actually marketed in the year that we actually lived in. And it actually worked. And it worked really well. Yet in 1999, people were scared to put their money into Google. I then started doing cookie banner ads. Banner retargeting, right? You go around the web, you go on a website, we cookie your browser, and we remarket to you and show you banner ads over and over and over and over again until you convert. We basically beat you to death until you give up and actually buy our stuff, right? You've seen that. Google dark posts right now, as we sit in this room, the ability to target anybody, somebody who is a fan or a user or is engaged with Red Bull or some other energy drink, somebody that is engaged or is a fan or liked something in the network marketing space, is a reseller. You can target anybody on Facebook today for pennies on the dollar, and it is the single most conversion-based product that I have seen in marketing in 12 years. Practical, executional advice. All in on getting your hands dirty. There's a lot of people in this room, so I'm going to share my biggest secret, so I think my secret's dead after I share it, but I'm going to give it to you because I promised myself to provide you as much value today as possible. Twitter. 99% of people are struggling to convert on Twitter. You can engage one by one and do some level of conversion, but what about at scale? Twitter has a new ad product, my friends. It's a product where you put out a tweet to anybody, to everybody, same thing. You pay for a lot of awareness, but you only get charged by Twitter if they follow you on Twitter. So this comes out, and I start looking at it with my analytics team, and we start testing. And we start testing copy and pictures and videos that tell you to do everything but follow us, right? Retweet this right now. Click this link right now for the next minute and get this offer. We've been driving traffic to websites and conversions for less than a penny a click because we've hacked a certain ad right now in Twitter in 2014. My friends, I'm not Nostradamus. My investments in Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Birchbox and Uber aren't because I can predict the world. They're investments in those platforms, and my success has come because when things are actually happening, I get my hands dirty. I go all in the trenches, and I spend 11 p.m. to 4 in the morning figuring it out. And we live in a world that I just gave you 2 tangible pieces of advice on how to reach people and convert new people into your funnel, and I know standing here that only 4 to 5% of you are actually gonna do it. And that's what's interesting to me. I just wanna talk to the 4 to 5%. I respect, and by the way, I respect the other 95, 96% immensely. It's how you've always done it. It's how it's worked. You've done it before. I get it. I respect that. But I sat in a room 8 years ago where Blockbuster decided to pass on buying Netflix for $40 million. Yeah. They passed because they said their data and the way they did it was working just fine. And they said the experience of going to the Blockbuster store was something that we all enjoyed. We like that experience. Let me tell you the experience I like. I like laying in bed, clicking a button, and watching my damn movie. The average 42-year-old woman in America, by her behavior, is acting like a 28-year-old woman only 10 years ago. We are living through the youthification of our society. I want to say this again because I want everybody to pay attention to what I'm talking about. We are living through the youthification of our society. Because of the way technology works, we are dragging people down in their behavior. The growth, the #1 growth right now on Instagram in the last 90 days of people taking selfies are 35 to 55-year-old females. Your mama's taking selfies. When everybody told me when I invested in Facebook that it was only for kids, I told them the grandma effect. They said, what? I said the grandma effect. When kids start putting their pictures of their kids on Facebook, grandma's coming. And now, no 25-year-old and under wants to be found dead on Facebook, only 5 years later. Think for a second in this room right now of how old you are, and if you're lucky enough to know your parent at this age, you are dramatically younger in your behavior than the way they were at your age. All of that is leading to what I want to talk to you about, which is over the course of how many people here are retiring in the next 5 years? And I don't mean you're gonna crush it and get a yacht. I mean you're old and tired. How many people are retiring? Raise your hand. All right, let's clap it up for that little section over there. Let's clap it up for those 7 over there. Enjoy it. Get a little fishing in. You're too young. If you're not retiring in the next 5 years, here's your problem, and here's your opportunity. 70% of the mental time that a US citizen above the age of 14 years old is going to be spending it in front of a screen. And you may think that's sad, right? You know what I love? I love when people come to me and go, all this technology is sad. My kid doesn't go out and play, right? They just stay inside and play games all day. And then I ask them, well, when you were a kid, how did you go outside and play if you didn't have any of your friends around? You jumped on a tire swing and ran around your house and you think you were playing? We're engaging with many more people. People tell me it's sad when they go out to dinner, this is a favorite, and they see a couple sitting there and they're both on the phone, right? Hey honey, look how sad that is. They're both on the phone the whole time at dinner. Do you know what I see? I see something I'm happy about. You know why? Because 15 years ago, that couple, what they did was they sat in front of each other and didn't say a goddamn word to each other. I'm happy for them that they're actually able to do what they actually want to do now, which is check the score, look at Facebook. Shit. There's nothing sad. People were scared that Elvis shook his hips 40 years ago. What Miley's doing on Wrecking Balls is way more serious. And so this keeps changing. But where does it matter to the people in this room? Here's where it matters. And this is where the rubber hits the road. For the first time ever, everything we do is being documented. Every action, everything we do is being documented. All the claims of your product, all the things that you believe in, all the things that you told people 20 years ago in a home, in an event, lost in history. All the pictures, all the videos, all the content we're putting out on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and all these places, logged forever. And so, if you want to have lifetime value, when you're 20 and 24 and 27, 50, 90, and you're making claims and you're saying these things and they don't come true, you lose. And when you say the right things, you win. And so I ask you to understand the one statement that I live on, my #1 Bill of Rights, which is that legacy is greater than currency. And I'm massively proud of the culture shifts and the technology shifts that this organization is making. When you go to a look guys, I talk on the hardcore tech, Zucks and that whole world circuit, and those places don't have apps for their 3-day conference. I want this place to clap it up for this conference to have an app. I mean it. It's a big deal, Tomas, it's a big deal. It is, it's a big deal. It's a big deal for me because, unlike many people in this room, you're focused on your world, I'm focused on my world. I see a lot of the landscape. The fact that this conference, and by the way, this is where BK is gonna give somebody some props. He's like, look, we got an app. I'm like, whatever, BK. I looked at it, actually extremely well executed. So let's clap it up for BK's tech team. Because it's one thing to have I remember somebody coming up to me 5 years ago as a company, they're like, hey Gary, we have a Facebook and Twitter account. I'm like, so what do you want, a fucking cookie? Like, it doesn't matter if you have one, it's what you do with it. It's how you execute. My friends, last 20 minutes, I want to talk to you about the execution of lifetime value and retention. I want to talk to you about why I wrote my last book. Everybody here, or excuse me, half the people here have a Facebook and Twitter account and a Tumblr account and these things of that nature. But what you're putting out there is just right hook, right hook, right hook, right hook. Everything is an ask or you telling me how I'm an idiot for working somewhere else and how my life is going to be so much better if I come into your world. Every post is buy this or you're an idiot, look at all my cars and cash. Now, I spent some time last night out in Las Vegas and watched the behavior of the individuals out in the casino and the bar. And I saw a lot of young men in this room specifically, like my boy Nick from Long Island. When they would roll up on the young lady in the scenario, they were in the right hook, right hook, right hook business. They tried to close on the first engagement. And if they just put a little romance, just a couple of jabs, just a little bit of patience, they might be a little happier this morning. I spend an hour every day sending a direct email, making a phone call, tweeting out, what can I do for you? I spend an hour every day of my life, and I'm running 2 major companies right now, and I try, and I've given this a lot of thought. This is if you leave with anything from my talk this morning, and I appreciate you having me here, I want you to leave with this. I implore you to give a little thought, to try just a little, to scale the unscalable. I spend an hour of my day scaling the unscalable. It's not scalable to sit in a phone and call and see how you're doing. It's not scalable to go to somebody else's Twitter picture or Instagram photo and give them a double tap and say, keep up the good work. And you know what happens here, and you guys know this. If we're gonna be self-aware in this room, you've got people underneath you, and those best people, those top 5, 10%, they get 90% of your energy. And I implore you to start changing those percentages just a little bit, because it's the people in the beginning and the middle that need a little entitlement, a little engagement, a little attention, a little bit more, just a little more. And what are you doing in here as leaders to try to empower the people within you, to give them information within, to teach them within, and most of all, and this is the one thing I was most disappointed when I did a real hard hashtag all in, hashtag Vima, hashtag Verb, looking at all the engagement online for the last 6 months, the one thing I've been most disappointed in is people not jumping in and policing their peers. When people get a little too far with their claims and things of that nature, not jumping in and putting them on the legacy course instead of the currency course. We sit here in this auditorium together in 2014, where this brand is on the verge of exploding. I truthfully in my heart believe that it is not a foregone conclusion. I do. You didn't clap that one, did you? The reason it's not a foregone conclusion is because the battle for authentic engagement and good content is in front of us. The amount of people that are putting out quality content on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter that's bringing value to the people that are following them is dwindling on a daily basis. Nobody's saying, how can I help you or what can I do for you? Everybody's saying, look what I've got. And so we're at a crossroads in this room where by 2 things, senior leadership that's crushed this space for the last 30 years and knows what it's doing, and the youth in the crowd that very much understands the behavior of the future are together within an organization, and the one pillar that everybody has to put peg on the wall is, are we looking to keep these customers long term? Am I willing to waste an hour of my time to give a crap about the people I do business with? Because the world's changing. I saw innovation the other day, a smart refrigerator. Right? We all know what smartphones are. Are you guys ready for the smart refrigerator? BK, you better pay attention. Because this one's gonna matter to you, my man. Smart refrigerator coming out from GE. Everybody will have a smart refrigerator in their home, just like they have a smartphone and a smart TV in the next 5 years. Do you know what your smart refrigerator does? You put in 6 bottles of Aquafina water, you take them out. You put in 6 bottles of Aquafina water, you take them out. The 3rd time that you put Aquafina water in your refrigerator understands what it is, and your refrigerator reorders it for you. So who's that disruptive to? Sounds like that's a problem for Amazon and 7-Eleven and other places, because Aquafina doesn't need it to sell it to those places to get it to you. Who here is willing to live in the future to battle to make sure our cans are in people's refrigerators? Because, my friends, all this Facebook and Twitter stuff, this has been lollygag. This is the beginning. This is nothing. We're just starting. We're only 20 years in. Smart pants. You know why it's good that these products are actually healthy? Because smart pants. I saw some dudes working on smart pants when I went to Palo Alto 6 months ago. there's some old dudes in here that are not ready for smart pants, because let me tell you what smart pants do. You put on your smart pants, and then your pants text you, and they say, hey, Sal, eat a salad, fat ass. And every POS system in America, point of sale, the registers, Walmart and Target are there, 7-Eleven's next. In 24 months, 36 months, every single person here is going to be buying product with this phone. Your credit card's here, and when your smart pants are tied into your wallet and you go to Burger King to buy a Whopper, your shit's declined. So does it matter that our product is good and healthy more than ever? Absolutely. Does it matter that we pay attention to look, it's like running a marathon. It's like running a marathon. If you sit here as a leader in business and you're not used to putting out content on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram, you're never gonna make the mental jump to the smart refrigerator or to the drones that are gonna be delivering our product. You're not gonna make that jump. And look, I'm not happy. You think I'm happy that we're all about to become robots? I'm sad too. But here's what I know. It doesn't change what happens. Because if I show you what we used to look like when we wore cloth and carved into caves, you'd never believe that we were sitting here. And if I reminded you that 10 years ago, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Uber and Birchbox and smartphones did not exist. 10 years ago, did not exist. And you know what? This is a very young crowd, but who here does not remember 10 years ago because you're 13? That's what I thought. And so, as the world gets more transparent, because you know what social networks are? If you're confused, they're the plumbing of the internet itself. We have to start putting intent and real emotion into our relationships, because every person in our circle is now a media company. Every single person is now a media company. And if you understand that, then you will start changing your behavior. If you understand that the 97th person in your world is just as important as the third, because they have just as much volume of reach, because it doesn't take having 1 million followers on Twitter like I do. You can have 9 and it goes from there. We are living through a culture shift. Please start thinking about putting out content that actually brings value to people. And the way to do that, of course, is to show them the lifestyle changes, but there's other variables that we bring to the table. There's other moves besides, look at the Rolex you can get if you do this. There's other moves besides, your job sucks, come here. The moves, first and foremost, and look, I've spent enough time in this space. I actually want you guys, actually, I do want this. I want you guys to clap it up, because I've paid attention to this space very heavily, and I am convinced that the people in this room are selling the best actual product in the marketplace, not just the system. For the people that stood up, stay up, because I want to make a point for the people that stood up. I want, especially the youngsters, the youngsters in this room know how much care, because I'm fucking Snapchatting with you guys all the time. I want you to pay attention to who decided to stand up for what I just said. By looking at demo, and I'm generalizing a little bit, it's of people who've been in the space long enough to know the difference between pushing a product they believe in versus pushing a product they don't believe in. And that is a fundamental difference. Because the math and the compensation can be great on the back end, but the way to become a Billy instead of a Millie is by having real, tangible, good stuff. Now I implore everybody in this room to take the fact that you have one of the best consumer-facing products in a world where affiliate marketing and modern-day marketing trends are now being pushed more in your behavior daily. where you actually have the luxury of being proud of a product that's inexpensive in the scheme of things, that people will actually buy on these platforms, in a world where Google reported last quarter that Google AdWord click-throughs are down 20%, which means our behavior is changing. How many people here use Gmail? Raise your hand. Did you pay attention 6 months ago when Gmail shifted all the promotional email into a separate tab so it wouldn't show up in your main G? That's good for us as users. That's shit for us as marketers. Because we're playing cats and mice when it comes to marketing. And right now, in 2014, I can't talk for 2017. I can't predict for 2019. But right now, the attention with the youthification, with the selfie growth, with grown-ass men here texting XOXO, the attention, the eyes and the ears of our customers, of our future customers, of the people we're trying to reach, they're starting to live in a different place. And if you do not have the nimbleness to figure out how to storytell in there, you will become increasingly irrelevant. You will sound exactly like Blockbuster did when it made its decision on Netflix. I'll give you an old school one. When Woolworths saw what Walmart was doing in Middle America, they underestimated. Who's here from Middle America? Clap it up if you're from Middle America. In my opinion, I spend more time paying attention to the behavior of people and businessmen and women from Middle America because the coasts are biased and they underestimate and they're stupid for it. And that's exactly what happened with Walmart. Woolworths saw what Walmart was doing, they underestimated it, they didn't innovate, and those guys put them out of business. And as I stand in front of you here today, I'm telling you that Walmart right now, the biggest retailer in the country, is out of business because they let Amazon happen. And in the next 36 to 60 months, when Amazon is done with all the warehouses that they're building right now, and every person in this room, whether you're in East Bumble this or West Bumble that or a big city, when every person in this room can order a product and have it delivered in the same day at their home, Walmart's in trouble. Innovation. Innovation. And so who here is willing to take the challenge to innovate even though they're uncomfortable? Who here is willing? Who here is willing to have the humility of saying, look, I've built a bunch of businesses in network marketing in the past, and I've done it a certain way, but I have the humility to understand that in 2014, even though I don't understand Instagram or Facebook or Vine, I'm gonna spend a little time learning about it, not just passing it on to the random 20-year-old in my life. Who here has self-awareness that even if they are 20 to 40 and they do understand it, and I'm generalizing, plenty of 60-year-olds know what to do, but who here in this room, because listen, I follow all the hashtags in this space, and there's a lot of youngsters in here banging on Instagram. Who here has the self-awareness to know that they don't like it either when their friends are just pitching picture after picture of stuff they don't care about, and even though you know how to use it, if you're using it wrong, you fucking lost. I challenge you this morning for one thing. Respect. Respect the people that you work with. Respect the audience that you're yelling at every day with the content that you put out. Respect yourself, because every picture, video, and everything you ever say, your grandchildren are gonna come up and roll up on you in 35 years and say, hey, Pappy, I saw a video of you and you said this, you were wrong. Respect. Because my friends, we are living through the single biggest culture shift of our time. This organization, amongst all organizations, forget about this space, this organization's leadership in product innovation, infrastructure, the obnoxious bravado and energy of the youth within this organization which, oh, by the way, is aging down all the other people in the room, which is tremendous. But let me make a statement as I close, as a 38-year-old old dude. The learnings and the hard work and the navigation of the people that are in this room that have been doing this for 20, 30 years does not go away because we use Snapchat. The principles that made them leaders and winners stay true. And so, there needs to be a meeting of the minds, the nimbleness, the awareness of the year that we actually live in, the hustle and the fire that happens with the people in one section, and the respect and the understanding. And you know what? By the way, don't think you're so great because, oh, by the way, the economy's been really good for the last 5 years. You know, things have been nice. Let's see who's a wartime general in here when things get a little tougher, when you get a tougher competitor. When shit hits the fan, it's not so fun to take pictures at the pool with your Rolex. So, let's make a promise with each other right now in the last couple minutes that I have here. Let's run a marathon. This isn't about tomorrow. This isn't about next year. This is about if you're willing to bring value to every person that you engage with over the next 2 to 3 decades, you look pretty good on the other side. And let's make another thing. Let's stop making lines in the sand. For example, let's go all in, older demo that hasn't played, and I don't want to hear from you, well, that's not how we did it. I don't give a shit that's how you didn't do it. This is the way we do it now. And let's go all in, youngsters, to realize at 23, you don't know every fucking thing just yet. And let's combine in some sort of Voltron transformer way, and let's dominate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Mr. Gary Vaynerchuk.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you very much. Give him a hand, folks.
Thank you.
How many people... Tom Elkason goes, he's swearing. I go, well, it's kind of like The Office on Monday. We just don't. It's all right. The content is what I want to have him deliver for you, and he delivers it like nobody else. And you know what? It gets your attention. He drives the point home. But here's the most important thing. You can say anything you want about Gary Vaynerchuk, but the one thing you cannot say is that he doesn't care. And he cares about you guys. So give it up for Gary. Now, how many people want to take Gary home with them? All right. This is Gary's book. This is his book that just came out, New York Times bestseller. $30, $29.95. I believe so strongly it's important for you to study success. Success leaves clues, folks. I am telling you, success leaves clues. These are available in the Vima store. And what I did is I took the price and I cut it in half from $30 down to $15 if you want to buy one. But if you, and I'm picking up the difference. If you want to buy two, it's 20 bucks. And hand it to somebody in depth. Read it, make some notes, pass it along. Pass along this knowledge because we are dealing in a different time. We're in the business of communication. And my dad, years ago, told me one thing. He said, son, the one that communicates the best wins. And I want you guys all to win.